Technology has quickly become one of the driving forces of our modern world. Over the years, it has created alternative methods of what we already know and accept in order to serve society in a more convenient fashion. In fact, licensed psychotherapists are turning to technology as a way of providing therapy services to their patients. Computer programs like Skype allow both patients and therapists to connect at their own conveniences while maintaining the same face-to-face interaction that's present in an in-person therapy session.
Skype, we can have face-to-face sessions wherever you live, and it's just as effective as being seeing the therapist in person. In fact, there may be some indications that it's even more effective than traditional talking therapies, mostly because you feel more comfortable, more at ease in your home or office or familiar place than you would in a therapist's office.
In addition to the comfort and familiarity, having a session from a patient's own home allows them to cater to their busy schedules while still addressing their therapy needs. For a parent who battles with a mental disorder that also has a family to care for, online therapy alleviates the issue of having to bring their kids with them to the session or having to rely on someone else to watch them while they're gone. Also, some psychotherapists who provide online therapy have extended hours to ensure that their patients can fit in a session after a busy day. Online therapy also benefits those residing in rural areas. Because psychotherapists tend to practice in larger suburbs containing bigger populations, it can often be hard for someone living in smaller, rural communities to seek therapy services that don't require extensive travel on their part.
Now, the online therapy route, of course, gives people a much broader range of options to seek the kind of person that they really want to work with and the kind of approach that they feel is best for them.
Although the happenings of an online therapy session and an in-person therapy session are essentially the same, many psychotherapists remain loyal to in-person therapy and prefer the absence of technology in treating their patients. Because online therapy requires technology, there are increased risks for glitches that could cause disruption to a session. Some of these glitches include temporary sound and picture malfunctions, as well as delays with overall video quality. These glitches simply don't exist in person. Of course, there's always a possibility of the therapist or patient having to repeat themselves, but this wouldn't serve as a disruption to the session like a technical sound glitch would. Because online therapy is powered by the internet, there's also a chance of connection failure that wouldn't just temporarily disrupt the session, but end it. Licensed psychotherapist Deanna Mars-Nagel feels that it's very important to make patients aware of this possibility. Traditional in-person psychotherapy appeals to a wider range of age groups than online therapy. In retrospect, a 6-year-old wouldn't benefit much from online therapy because he or she wouldn't be able to work a program like Skype without the help of an adult. Elderly populations wouldn't benefit much from a Skype therapy session either because more often than not, this age group isn't as competent with technology as adolescents or middle-aged adults are. Of course, young children and even young adolescents couldn't drive themselves to a psychotherapist's office for a session, but meeting with a psychotherapist in person is much more practical for these individuals. Essentially, online therapy is really more of a hassle then it is a convenience for both young and elderly people. In terms of effectiveness for treating people with mental disorders on the more severe scale, in-person therapy is superior to online therapy. Because webcams can interfere with lighting, they have the tendency to slightly alter people's appearances. A distorted image of a therapist could potentially give way to delusions for a patient who's prone to having them. In my research, I came across 2 scenarios that involve patients having delusions over Skype. So is one method of psychotherapy really more effective than the other? While one individual might benefit from online therapy because they live in a remote area and don't want to travel far, another individual might benefit from in-person therapy just as equally because they don't want to deal with the technical glitches that could potentially cut them off from their therapist during an emotionally intense conversation. In the grand scheme of things, the effectiveness of psychotherapy isn't necessarily measured by how it's delivered, but rather is the patient moving forward towards a better state mentally. If the patient is gaining confidence and learning the skills to better manage their disorder, then the method of therapy delivery really becomes insignificant.